Husband's strange teenage daughter was upset and abandoned. He wanted to reject her too, but our fight turned into a plan, and now we're getting her a college fund. My husband and I are cooling off from a recent argument where he called me a few things. Everything's kind of a mess right now, so emotions are running high. I really need a sanity check and maybe some fresh perspectives because it feels like we're going in circles. Long story short, my husband had a daughter in his early 20s with an ex-girlfriend. They were a terrible match, constant fighting and emotional abuse, so they split right before the baby was born. He's been very open about this with me and how he regrets not being more careful about not getting her pregnant, given how immature they both were. He never really formed a relationship with his daughter. Her mother kept him at a distance and made it clear she didn't want him in their lives. He has paid child support all along, but it's been a struggle throughout our relationship. When we had our first child, his ex demanded more child support, arguing that if he could afford a new kid, he could pay more. She's always been nasty in any interactions, and their daughter learned to be the same way. My husband has tried reaching out, like with a phone call last Christmas, but his daughter said some awful things, calling him a deadbeat and saying she never wanted to know him. She's 13 now, and while her mother still influences her, she's also old enough that we can't just dismiss what she says. A few days ago, we got a call. His daughter told a teacher she was being hurt at home. CPS got involved, and her mother disappeared. Now they want her to come live with us. My husband wanted to decline. He has no relationship with her, she seems to hate him, and we have younger kids with no experience dealing with trauma like this. He believes she'd be better off in foster care. I told him there's no way we're letting this kid who's been abused and abandoned get rejected again by the only family she has. She needs stability, not being shuffled around in the system. We're still not on the same page about this. I know he has the final say because I'm just his partner and not related to her, but am I being unreasonable in thinking he needs to step up and be a father to her too? Edit. Coming back to this has been a bit overwhelming, but I'll try to clarify a few things. First, I know I have no legal say in this, but my husband and I are a team, and my opinion matters to him. Second, neither of us knows much about the foster system, so we've been operating off assumptions. I appreciate everyone who's provided more insight. Third, yes, my husband was a deadbeat dad early on. He later realized they were a bad match, but he should have tried harder when visits became an option. When he did try, there were excuses like she wasn't home or it wasn't the agreed date, and he eventually gave up. He probably could have gone through the courts, but hindsight is 20/20. Mini update. We sat down to talk about why the discussion had spiraled into a screaming match, focusing on that instead of the actual subject. He told me he was completely overwhelmed and panicking. The CPS worker had made it sound like the only options were taking her in or letting her go into a system that churns out drug addicts and prostitutes, as one commenter put it. He feels really guilty for letting this happen to his daughter, even if she hates him. He wishes he had done something to prevent it. I guess I was too focused on how bad things were for his daughter to see that he was hurting just as much. We've agreed to revisit the conversation in a calmer setting tomorrow and gather more facts. It's 2 a.m. and I'm exhausted, but we both called off work to take the time we need. I'm hopeful for a positive update soon. Update, September 5th, 2024. Things are pretty chaotic right now, but I want to thank everyone who took time out of their day to offer advice and share their experiences. I won't go into detail, but there's a lot more going on than I've shared here, and divorce is definitely not on the table. We've had several tough talks, but once the panic subsided, we realized we were more on the same page than we thought. My husband has agreed to take responsibility for his daughter and is pursuing emergency custody. We're not trying to play family, as some have suggested. He's taking legal charge of her to keep her out of the system. She won't be living with us right now. We've contacted an inpatient therapy clinic to help her begin the healing process. My husband is taking leave from work and leasing a second car, so he can be there as much as possible. He knows she might never see him as a father or family, but from now on will be her support system. She won't have to rely on an overworked CPS worker, random legal guardians, or ever-changing homes. If she needs therapy, we'll get it for her. If she needs legal counsel, we'll provide it. If she needs help navigating the system, we'll support her. If she wants to live with a foster family, we'll respect that too. Our support won't be conditional on her playing family with us. She never has to set foot in our home if she doesn't want to. We know she may never appreciate any of this, but that's okay. We have some savings, and we're setting up a college fund for her. It won't make her rich, but we hope it'll help cover some of her expenses when the time comes. We're also starting family therapy to explain to our kids that they have a sister, and that Dad will be away more often for a while. My husband will be starting therapy to work on his guilt and hurt from the situation. Commenter: Your approach shows a deep commitment to doing what's best for your husband's daughter and your family. Focusing on support, therapy, and respect for her autonomy is crucial in this tough situation. I'll admit that reading the comments on the first post was tough, but it made me realize I was a bit naive. I know it's going to be hard, but we have a plan now and some direction. Most of it is still theoretical, but I hope we can make it work.